Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show today. We, of course, are going to be having some very interesting news that we're going to be covering here on Comics News today. Of course, I am Chester C. Busby III, and I'm very happy to be hosting and communicating and chatting with all of you. And we're going to have some fun here for about an hour or so. Of course, I have a few people on the panel joining me, and I'll be getting to that momentarily. But of course, the first things I want to talk about is those links we have down below. We have our FanSpeak over on Facebook, and we'd love for you to be part of that if you're not already. That is a community that is growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're really happy with that. Also, keep in mind that you have my links down below to Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to be on this show, you are welcome to contact me, and I will get you in here because this is FanSpeak after all, and we do want to have your voice heard. You also have an opportunity if you want to be part of the fan edition of Drawn and Quartered. You can contact me, and I'll put you through that process. But other than that, guys, thank you for joining in. And of course, those likes and subscribe buttons certainly help with YouTube. But the thing that helps us the most actually is hitting that share button and letting your friends and family and extended community know what's going on so they can come and join us and, join in on the fun. Let me come over here though and take a look at the chat real quick. I see Joshua Hughes, the most awesome troll ever, is over here, and he says "Hail Raven," and he did it in a very German way, which is kind of interesting. We have Heller in here, and he says hello. Well, hello to you. John Dillard is in here, and he says first. No, John, you're not first, but welcome. Tank Ferret is in here as well. He says, "Hail Comics News Today and friends." Yes, well, dude, both of you dudes have links, by the way. You can come in if you like. Night Pope is in here, and I saw Night Pope got an A on her test over there in California, and I'm really happy you did that. So congratulations to you. And of course, let me come over here and say hi to our panel. First, I'd like to welcome George. How you doing, George?
I'm doing well. I am excited to be here. I'm also nervous. I got 7 hours left on Joe King.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Woo.
And this is a project, of course, going on in Indiegogo, and Joshua, who is a moderator of ours now, and doing a pretty good job, I have to say. He's going to go ahead and drop that link for us, and he's got a few links you're going to have to work on here today, Joshua. But we'll come back and check that out a little bit later, George. But welcome and thank you for coming. We also have, of course, the chairman himself, Mr. DeWolf.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you just fine, dude. What's
Wow,
up?
Gary, just came right in there strong.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can. Is Chester talking? Because I can't hear him if he is.
Chester is speaking, and I'm pretty sure everybody can hear me. The guys here can hear me, and the people
Because
outside can.
is it George said something like he was answering a question, and I didn't hear anybody talking to him.
Hmm.
Oh, so now it seems like Chester, you can't be heard
Gary.
by him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gary, yeah, Gary, you hear me?
Yeah, I
So,
do.
Okay.
but not Chester.
So,
Came right in there.
so what you need to do is,
I came right in screaming. Sorry about that.
oh, that's all right. DeWolf, just tell him to
Yeah,
drop
I can
out and
hear
come back
DeWolf
in.
and I can hear George.
You can hear me, but you can't hear Chester?
That's very odd.
Is Chester talking? No, I don't hear Chester. I haven't heard him
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, tell him to drop out and come back in, please.
Is the stream live?
So Gary, yeah, we are live. Hey Gary, see about dropping out and coming back in, and if that fixes the
okay.
problem.
All right. Sorry about that. I'll be right back.
No problem.
Gary did come in like a wrecking ball, but that's all right. It's a very unique thing. Gary's usually very soft-spoken gentleman, so for him, smashing windows and stuff like that is kind of cool. I like it. It's like a rebel version of Gary. It's pretty cool. But anyway, how you doing, DeWolf?
Doing pretty good. Yeah. I was telling you earlier about how I was excited to get some old 1960 eras, Captain Marvels, which of course tie in with Quasar. So that was awfully fun. And then the revelation that who I received them from also threw in a 2002 version of Fantastic Four for free by Mark Waid. So it was just a little humor, I thought, to see that in there.
Yeah, no, that was an interesting conversation, talking about your favorite character and all the extended community around it. Now Gary's back in here, and I'm assuming Gary can hear me now. Gary,
Gary, can you hear our buddy Chester?
No, I can hear you.
what? What? No, he's trolling us. Okay, that's fine.
And I heard DeWolf a minute ago, too.
Yeah, this
I
doesn't.
don't think he's trolling. Gary actually did have an issue on his stream earlier today on being able to hear a guest that came on in.
That is interesting.
Yeah, that
So
was
I'm
weird.
wondering if there's a.
Hmm. Well, it's all right.
Okay, maybe I'll try going on another device.
You could try that.
I'll try again.
Yeah,
See you
tell
later.
him to try it again. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sure.
All right.
I,
Anyway,
I could fake sign language for Gary.
or in worst case scenario, just let DeWolf handle it. He's, you know, and basically to let you all know that Gary has come on here today to talk about his omnibus of Packin's Land, which is, of course, a really cool thing he's launched, and we're really happy for him that that's going on. And when we get him in here working properly, we'll be able to talk to him and get that information. And I'm assuming he can hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Finally. All right. Well, welcome, Gary. Nice to have you, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, I'm always happy to have you, or welcome here anytime, sir, just as long as you can hear me, because, that is odd. How is it you can hear the other two guys, but you can't hear me? That's a bizarre thing. I'm going to have to write that down and ask Pixel and kind of pick his brain about that. But nevertheless, Gary, of course, we know that you're on here to talk about your omnibus, and it looks like you got something else there that you might want to talk about as well. So go ahead, dude.
Actually, this is just a cover from a book that I did like 20 years ago. But it is the Packin's Land, part of the Packin's Land omnibus. But this is just an individual issue, the original. So right now I have a campaign going on for those of you who don't know, but you probably do, for my Packin's Land omnibus, which is 415 plus pages of story and art.
Wow.
That I did many years ago, and I've been remastering pages. And even last night, I went into the campaign. So if you guys have already seen the campaign, you may want to go look at it again. I added a bunch of new pages in there. I was like, boy, I didn't really show very much. So I went in and I added more. I'm probably going to even add more as time goes on. But you get to see the remastering portion as well. I did a couple of those in there. And that's one of the stretch goals. If we reach a certain level, I'll be adding to the back of the omnibus kind of like the process or showing the before and the after at least.
Cool.
Pages and stuff. Yeah. So it should be fun. So yeah,
That's
I'd really
nice.
like your support, or even if you could just share it with people, that would be great.
Yeah, that does help actually a lot.
Gary provides some great. Wait? I'm sorry. Is Chester trying to talk now?
No, Chester's not
Chester,
trying
say
to talk.
something.
Chester is speaking. Hello.
Oh, is Gary? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So can Chester? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, dude.
Okay, that's good. Oh, I gave it away.
Yeah, I know.
Darn.
I know. He didn't think it through there, dude.
Oh, the trolling. I trolled myself right out of the whole bit. So anyway, Gary does a great job at including extra stretch goals and perks. I thought it was so great. Matter of fact, I thought it was so great and wanted to get involved in this that I backed you 9 days ago. So
awesome, dude.
If people haven't backed you by now, they're behind.
Well, yeah, you're never behind as long as you get in on time.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, we're just trying to reach the initial flexible goal, and that would basically show like a success, I guess, for the campaign. It would make it to where it was actually profitable on my end. Anything before that, we're still going to fulfill and we're still going to do it. And it would be a success in the sense that we have a product. We'd have an omnibus. It's already going to be. It's going to happen already. So no matter, even if we stop right now, which I'm hoping, more backers are going to come in as time goes on, obviously. But even if this is where we stop, the omnibus is going to be made. And it'll be a success in the sense that we have a physical book in front of us and for all the backers and everything. So it's all good.
Well, actually, I am showing the omnibus to everybody. I'll come over here and share it with you guys as well, so you can see what everyone is seeing. But yeah, no, it's a good looking project. It's already taken off quite a bit, dude. You get $3,500 on there. That is awesome. 35% of your goal. And he said, as he said, this is a 415-page book collecting all of Packens land into one place. And of course, if any of you have been over watching Gary's channel, you know you've been seeing his remastering, which is absolutely awesome. And I know I've enjoyed many of those good art streams that Gary does. And Joshua, if you do me a favor and go ahead and throw on Gary's YouTube channel, if you are not watching that and you love art, you should be. Because as many of you know, Gary is certainly one of the best artists in this community. And we always enjoy seeing his stuff and things putting on. Of course, you guys might not know, but that icon, that bear icon that other people accuse of being a cougar, and it's not, was created by Gary. We're
Cougar
just
Bear.
we're just sitting here going through this and taking a look at your project. It looks really good, dude. I like what you set up for the page, but this is your second or third time doing it Indiegogo, so I guess you kind of become an old hat at it, huh?
Well, it is the sort of my second or third. The second one I did was just an extension of the first one, which was the sketchbook.
Hmm.
Um, so it kind of was like I just made the same one again. Um, but this one, so like I even though I have done it a couple of times and I've had some experience putting one together, I still feel like I overlooked a few things. So you're constantly learning how to build them, and so I'm open to learning to do it better. You know.
Yeah, and I see some of this right down here. It looks like it's like a side by side showing what you had done before and then the updated version. I'm assuming,
Right.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and that's going to be stuff I have like around 60 pages that I've remastered. It's actually over 60 pages that I've remastered so far of the 415. Um, uh, and I'm just showing a couple of pages there that this would be part of the stretch goal that we would add these kind of before and after pages
Sure.
showing what it used to look like compared to what it looks like now, and maybe even talk about it a bit. Um, so I
Well,
just thought it would be fun to throw those in the campaign and show it.
I think
So
it's a good idea.
you, if you scroll down a little bit to where you
Hmm.
can see the stretch goals or up,
Yeah.
then you can see it says we're going to extend the stretch goal or extend the omnibus to include like the comparison of old and new
Yeah.
remastering stuff.
You get character bios in there too, and I like it too because we're looking at the one where this character is been imprisoned or it seems like he's in a cell of some kind. I like the second panel much better. I think it's absolutely more dynamic than the first one. Yeah, that's cool. Now, this you've been doing Packens Land for 20 plus years, right?
Well, I did it 20 plus years ago. There have been like chunks of years where I haven't worked on it at all, just because I was off doing other projects. And there was a period of time where it was laying dormant, and I thought that it never was going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
But in recent year
Yeah, a
years,
year, a little
uh,
bit less.
yeah, we have got a resurgent of interest and just the ability to be able to spend the time to do it. And people backing my other campaigns have helped greatly. The sketchbooks that I did to free up my time so that I could actually put this thing together finally. So it's a long time coming. It really is a project that I just really wanted to do this for a very long time. And seeing it come to fruition like this is really exciting for me. And I hope that when you guys get it in your hands, you're going to be equally as pleased and excited about it. I just can't wait.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really cool. And I recall being part of the conversation of talking you into doing this, actually, wanting to make it happen because you had always you said that you'd always wanted to do it, but you were like you wondering if it was possible. And I'm really glad we got to this point because many of us who enjoy your work really want to get a hold of this book. And as we can see already, you're up to 3,500, and you have how many backers now?
Looks like
Doesn't tell me.
doesn't say there. Oh, third. No, that's so many days. I think we might be at like 39 backers.
Oh, all right. And I know this will grow as it becomes more and more widespread and known. Now, I'm assuming you're going on. You're going to go on as many channels as you can to talk about this. We do appreciate you come over here and talk to us about it and letting our community see. But where else are you planning on going and showing off your book?
Well, as of now, I mean, I've reached out to some people. Um, I've reached out to you, obviously. John Delarose, he's been very helpful, and I'm going to go on his channel next week.
Oh,
And
that's good.
he came on my mind today, just impromptu, but it was fun. And then Nasser Rabadi, I'm going to be on his tomorrow.
Mhm.
And other than that, the feelers are still out, with people to kind of lock down something or see if there's, possibilities of getting on streams with people.
Yeah, well, I think you should definitely go check out Mike and see if you can't get on John Malin, maybe Doug Ernst, maybe. I think he'd appreciate talking about it. Of course, John Malin supports this community amazingly. But yeah, it's really cool. And like I said, we all of us who have been fans of yours for a while are very happy to see this going on. But let's take a minute here to take a look at the project and see exactly what you can get. So let's come down and look at our first. Take a look at our overview here. Now it says up here, Packins Land Omnibus, the complete Packins Land comic book series in one volume. Then we have an overview here. DeWolf, you want to read that for us?
I am happy to be offering the complete series for my all ages comic book entitled Packins Land Omnibus. This is the first time that Packins Land has been collected into one volume with more than 415 pages of story and art.
Wow, goodness gracious. And yeah, go ahead, continue, dude.
Hello, welcome to the Packins Land Omnibus Indiegogo campaign. My name is Gary Shipman, and I have been making art for more than 30 years working on comics, movies, and other properties. I'm probably best known for my comic book series Packins Land that was nominated for Eisner, Harvey, and Russ Manning Awards. My work has been published through Disney Publishing, Caliber Press, Image Comics, Alias Comics, Cryptozoic, Cider Mill Press, and Zondervan. I have been exploring different styles of art throughout my life with no formal art training. My wife, Rhoda, and I have been married for 31 years and have 3 beautiful children. Follow. Whoa, wait. Oh, I need to click. And then wait a second. Okay. Follow along as series of strange events brings Paul to a fantastic world called Packins Land. There, he meets a mysterious giant eagle of light who gives him a feather as a token of friendship. At the touch of this feather, Paul knows it is something special, and as the eagle mysteriously vanishes, Paul realizes that he is lost in this new world. Soon, Paul is befriended by extraordinary talking animals who set off together to find the long-lost King Arya and try to return Paul to his own land. The pathway is not without danger, and thus begins the adventure of this all-ages story called Packins Land.
Awesome. Awesome. Follow along as a series of strange events. You should put an in there before the series. Sorry, I do apologize. I can't resist it.
We're doing editing right now.
I'm sorry.
On the
Yeah,
fly.
yeah, you definitely got to throw an in there. It sounds really good. It's really straightforward. It gives people all the information they need, tells them about you too, real quick. And of course, sitting up top, we have a featured, and this I think is the main thing we're getting at. So, tell us about this featured perk for $75, and you're actually taking care of some of the shipping in there. So, which is an option, right? You either let shipping be on its own, or you absorb it into your cost. But nevertheless, the PL Omnibus hardcover. Tell us about this perk you have here featured.
Fox News text messages between then Deputy Director.
Okay, news. Thank you.
Yeah. What happened?
That was George. It's always George.
Sorry, technical.
Did we want to listen to that first?
No, we don't want to listen to that. No. George is always trolling me with some background noises.
It's just about the real world, and who
I'm
wants
just looking
that?
for new material. I mean, Chester's a very tough hombre.
Yeah.
Go ahead, dude. Tell us about this $75 perk, please.
So the $75 perk basically is going to get you the hardcover edition of the Packensland Omnibus, and it's also going to get you a set of the Packensland trading cards, which I have so far. There's 10, and as we reach stretch goals, more could be included. But as it is right now, this perk gets you 10 trading cards and the hardcover edition, and that's going to have the same cover as the softbound edition. There is a special edition, like a limited edition, that's going to have a new cover, and it'll be signed and numbered as well. But that's later on in the perks.
I see. Now, and yeah, I haven't seen a trading card from you in a while for me to do the game touches on. I'm assuming we're up to 10 already.
Yeah, we've done 10.
All right.
And I wanted to talk to you about the possibility of introducing the gameplay aspect of the cards into the omnibus campaign, but it may be after we talk about it that maybe it's too big for this, or maybe it's not too big and we can add it as a stretch goal or something like that.
Well, I mean, we've known all along. You certainly do that. Where you add it, of course, is cool. But it's going to cost you about $10. You're going to have to add to one of your perks to have the game in there. So it's not very invasive at all. It is simply a little collection game. And it's of course featuring Gary's art and a feel of the characters are in the powers that they interact with. But yeah, it's just simply it's a $10 added to whatever perk you want to put it in. So if you put it as a stretch goal, I think you're good to go. Yeah,
Okay,
it's not too expensive. So
cool.
yeah, as far as the pricing
Maybe
and stuff, we checked it.
yeah, maybe I can talk to you offline about it.
No
Off
problem,
stream.
dude. Absolutely.
Okay.
I thought we were going to wait for the other one, but if you want to drop to here, do that.
No, we can. We
Yeah.
can wait for the other one. That would be okay. Because I think what I'd like to do is get all the character cards done first. Because there could easily be 10 more character cards that we could do.
Well,
So
sure.
yeah.
Well, the trading cards are kind of like a special little thing that can be plugged into the game. They're not necessary to play the game, but we have built these trading cards so that they will plug and play, as it were, and it kind of adds a little fun dimension if you own the trading cards. But the game itself, it is going to have 12 of Gary's characters, which are representing the face cards in a normal deck, and each of them are going to have their own little power that interacts with the collection part of the game, based upon the kind of feel that the character has and what their powers are, or how they interact in Gary's world. And it is pretty cool. I like it. It is a very simple, standard set collection game that we've seen many times, but it's going to have Gary's Packensland touch to it, so that makes it fun. And it's a pretty inexpensive addition too, so I think it's cool. I think it was a great idea you had to do that, actually.
Well, you helped.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, it's minimally, but as we go forward, we'll get that worked out. But I have set the game up. I've play tested it. I've done all those kind of things, so it is ready to go. Although probably what we want to do is do some mock-up on it and throw it around to a few other people in the community so that they can do some play testing and try to break it and see if I've had any holes that I've overlooked. But that's something that can be done pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, that sounds cool. But yeah, though this project has been coming along for I don't know 5 or 6 months. We've been talking about it. I remember was a very early conversation way back when, because a lot of us were like, we wanted it to be your first thing, but you were like, no, 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 I better do something, and that's where you did the sketchbook, Indiegogo, which was successful for you. Congratulations. And of course, it was a better idea. So you are a better businessman than we are, I guess. Because we
I don't
wanted
know about
this
that.
then.
Yeah, I think the amount of work to put this campaign together first would have just been overwhelming. But
Yeah.
putting the sketchbook together, that was pretty much it was all done. Like the work was done, and I just needed to do a few things to get it together. So it worked out good.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, this is all leading up to new stories from Pakistan ultimately, right? And what is your
Yeah.
timeline for that? What do you think? I mean, obviously, you're going to get through this is your focus. You're going to get through this and going to put this big, huge, beautiful book out. But of course, the plan from the beginning was to bring out new adventures of Pakistan. So, what is your timetable on that? You think?
Well, as soon as I get the omnibus done with remastering and get it sent to the printer,
Hmm.
immediately I'm going to move on to doing new story and new art, which I already started some months ago, and you guys were in the streams for
Sure,
that.
sure.
And I've done about maybe 3 pages or four. I think I may have penciled the fourth page. Um, but once I get all this stuff done on the omnibus, and I think I'm at the 300 mark right now of pages that are done, and I just have to review another 115 or so
Oof.
and make sure that they're okay. And once I'm done with that, and there's large chunks of those that I don't even have to touch, so I might get through like skip 10 pages, those are all fine. Skip 15 pages, that's fine. And then just working on certain things. I hit a like a real rough patch because where the scene that you see with the gorilla there and the man up in the rafters,
Oh yeah.
uh, all the brickwork was just white walls basically, and I didn't have the time to go in and put in the texture and the and the work. And now I've gone in, and so all the dungeon scenes, I've gone in and for the most part reworked it to where you can actually see that it's a dungeon instead of just white walls. So it really enhances the that part of the story.
But it's
So
a lot of
that
work.
slowed me down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Absolutely.
So the rest, where they're not in the dungeon, not so much has to be done. So I can move rather quickly.
Mm. Yeah, no, I kind of noticed that when I've been, because yeah, as you know, I'm working on the Tales from Beyond the Gate project as a writer, and working with the artist behind the scenes to make sure that the story and the vision is matched together. And of course, it's a cooperative experience. It's not just one-sided. But one of the things that's been most daunting for the guys is really just the backgrounds. It's not the characters themselves. I think I about killed John Dillard because I had a scene where it was looking in from a window and then stepping in panel to panel in through a window into a kitchen. But the kitchen was like this ultra clean 1960s style with a checkerboard or a type of paneling on the floor, and I had all this detail in there because I wanted to set up a feel for what where we are, and that was really rough for him to have to just every little teeny bit of detail in there. He did it though, which is awesome, and it looks really cool. But it was interesting that that was a huge challenge to him and some of the other guys too. It's the backgrounds. It's not the characters. You
Yeah,
know.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but it is fun. It's fun work too if you can kind of get your mind into it. Like you're really building an environment, and um, you're putting the characters in a place. Like you're making the world real by adding detail to the background and
Yeah.
really paying attention to those things. So I think it's something that is really beneficial for people to do
It
with
is.
their projects.
It
Yeah.
is. And of course, we've also noticed with some of the other art streams we watch, like say Ethan Van Sciver. I mean, he's absolutely incredibly meticulous about his backgrounds, but that's also what takes him forever. Is just doing those incredibly detailed backgrounds. I don't know how many streams. It was like 4 or 5 streams. He was working on a double page spread, and it was just this cityscape and every little piece of detail. I mean, I don't know how many days it took him to do that, but it's just ridiculously detailed things that are going into it. And I guess this makes me understand a little bit more about why I see some comics where the backgrounds are really just kind of a blurry thing that is there because of that detail. And it's interesting, Gary. I've been collecting and reading comic books since I was 5, but I haven't really come to understand or learn comic books until the past 6 months or so. And it's really it's been such an educational thing for me the past half a year here, and being in this community, doing the YouTube and stuff like that, and just learning all kind of techniques from you as well as other people of how a brush works, and just all the little detailed stuff. It's been awesome. I would assume DeWolf here would agree with me on that.
Yes, most certainly would. I actually have got a some other stuff going on in the background at the moment,
It's all right.
and I wasn't able to catch all that, Chester. I'm sorry.
No big deal. I'm just saying that the past time since we've been doing here Fanspeak, we've learned a lot about comics.
Most certainly have. Oh yeah, yeah, a lot more than I ever knew. And two, whenever I was reading them as a teenager, I would, I sort of scan by the credits, and okay, that's great, that's nice. I learned a name or two. Really, uh, become that important to me to really know the difference in the people. And my particular character was always written by the same individual, right?
Right.
And so the story was a really a big impact. I recognized when the art would change, and some art would be better than others, but for the most part, the story I think was the big thing for me. And
Sure.
and so but yeah, so now I have a much more keener eye and going, oh wait, what is this, the penciler versus the inker and the colorist. Yeah, we have learned so much more in
Yeah, we have.
getting to know you guys.
And one of the things we've done over here on Fanspeak is we have focused on trying to understand the process, right? So we've had a lot of guests over the past 6, 7 months. We've been doing maybe 8 now that we've been doing this, and to look at every detail and aspect of what it takes to make a comic book. I mean, from beginning to end. I mean, the only thing we really haven't had on the show is an actual publisher, and I am working on getting a publisher in here to talk to us. But every other aspect we've covered in detail, and we're actually starting a new series, as you guys saw, with RT Bear come on the other day talking about inking. We're starting a new series here where we're going even deeper into actual technique and how things are done. And Gary, you might be really nice if you came on and did the penciler version of that actually, because we've already did the inker with RT Bear, and that was an amazing show. If you guys have not seen the RT Bear, what was that, an hour and a half with RT Bear going over exactly how you ink and what to do and what not to do. That was absolutely amazing. Go watch that
Yeah.
show. But we started with art. We want to have a penciler come on in depth and talk about techniques, how it's done. Right, and we also want to get a hold of a colorist, and we are in the process of working on doing that. And because we're not rushing it, because we want to get the absolute best to explain and show what is what. So we're being very particular about who we bring on. But I think Gary would be a really good choice actually for explaining pencilings and stuff like that. And would you be interested in doing that, Gary?
Well, I'd be okay with doing it. I don't know that I'm the best choice.
No.
I
Who
mean,
would you
there's
suggest then?
um, Ethan Van Sciver
Yeah,
or
no, that's a good point. Yeah, but
Mike Miller, or I mean, there's some or even Mitch Breitweiser. They're fantastic at that. Um, I think that I do things the way I do them, and even my inking, I do it the way I do it. Uh, and it would probably be beneficial for me to go and look at what RT Bear said on your stream, because I'm still learning. I feel like I'm learning myself, and I'm always wanting to get better and understanding what it is that I'm doing, versus just kind of doing it and hoping for the best. Because sometimes there's a lot of that going on. So I could probably come on and I could say, hey, let's wing it. And but mostly I think that I mean, if people find that beneficial, I'd be willing to do it. But I do feel very strongly that there are other people that are very much more capable of doing especially a penciling tutorial
well,
than myself.
the thing with that is Ethan certainly could do it, but finding time in his schedule to get him over here, I think would be difficult. But
Don't sell him short,
no, well,
Chester.
I mean, but the thing is can is Ethan really good about sitting down and explaining a tutorial? I mean, he can point out what he thinks should be improved, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know how good he would be at running a tutorial though. Mike Miller, another one, amazing, just absolutely clean professional lines. It's standard professional is Mike Miller, right? But
Yeah,
can
we got to
he
give him a
come?
chance.
Well, yeah, but can he come on and explain in detail what's going on? Because they don't do that, right? But Gary does it every day, is what I was thinking. Because he's always sitting there explaining techniques and stuff. You're always doing that, Gary. That's why you came to my mind, actually. But those guys would be good too, for sure. I'm not sure how good they would be at laying it out in an efficient time manner. You know what I mean?
May I suggest, Gary? Is it because you have developed such a unique set of skills that you worry about misleading the public on how to do the work?
No, I think that there is there's a traditional way of drawing, especially in comic books and especially superhero comic books.
Yeah.
Um, like there's the Jim Lee approach to it, and I think that is the mainstream, and that's the way um, that when you say, "Hey, we're going to talk about penciling," that's the main way that people probably think of, especially in our group. It's mostly superhero comics,
Yeah.
uh, and there is
I,
variations, obvious,
yes.
but I don't think that I'd be misleading anyone. I could explain as much as I could explain, but I'm by no means the end all. To
Well, may I suggest this? Um, Techniques in production, according to Gary. We
Yeah,
don't
but
have
no,
to.
no, George, you're
We're-
overthinking it, dude. He's just being humble. Honestly.
I
And
know.
Tank Ferret, you are on timeout for 2 hours, sir. 2 hours you're on timeout. You understand that? No, nothing from you, sir. I don't want to hear it. John Malin, a tutorial on. Huh, goodness
he
gracious.
doesn't even use a pencil.
I know. He just dreams it into vision. Unbelievable.
He's more of an inker.
Yeah, I'm just
He
kidding.
inks a lot.
Always have to pick on John. John Malin he's at odds with everybody. He's at war with all people at all times. It's funny. That, of course, joking. Everybody knows I'm joking. We love John Malin. But anyway, guys, we're going to come back at the end of the show and we're going to look at Joe King and we're going to look at the Packens Land Omnibus again. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to shift over a little bit and we're going to start talking about a couple pieces of news, seeing as this is comics news today. I mean, but let me come over here and we're going to start with this one, which I don't know how interested I am in this, guys, but let me come back over here and let the panel see what we're looking at, guys. But everyone has been telling me that a Bill and Ted remake or sequel or whatever they're going to call it is a good thing. And I don't know that I agree, but they keep telling me I'm wrong. So Will Sadler will return as Death in new Bill and Ted film. Now, I did enjoy his character; it was pretty funny. But I don't know, DeWolf. You guys keep convincing me this is a good. They're trying to convince me this is a good thing, but I wasn't a big fan of Bill and Ted, I guess. But what do you think about this news, dude?
Yeah, if you're gonna do a comedy and you're gonna include death again, you have to bring in the same guys.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, I think
that's
the
true.
only time that I didn't notice when death had changed is when I was watching Infinity War, and I didn't quite realize that Hugo Weaving wasn't the Red Skull.
All right,
But as
right.
far as this is concerned, yeah, bring back the same actor if you can get him, and bring in some death. And does this mean we're gonna have Bill and Ted as older guys, having to court death or try to avoid death again? That's kind of interesting. They should bring him in for the Ghostbusters 3 movie.
uh, you have sunk my battleship. Yeah, that was funny. I don't know, Gary. Did you ever watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Excellent. Yeah.
Excellent party time. Yeah, I never cared for that. How about you, George? Did you enjoy the Bill and Ted stuff?
Oh yeah. It was a highlight of my high school.
Wow, I guess I'm just weird because for me, my maybe the best high school film, actual high school film when I was a kid was probably Big Times at Ridgemont High, was probably the one I remember
That
the
too.
most.
That too.
Yeah, no, people are seem to get more and more excited about it. Of course, as has been mentioned by Denali and DeWolf in the past, the fans have been demanding this for quite a while, and the fact that Keanu Reeves and I can't remember the other dude's name are happy to come back and even excited to come back and do it. It's cool for all the fans, so I think it's really neat. And I did out of the two films, I did enjoy this character the most for sure. The death character I thought was hilarious. It was just such a weird way to portray death, but it was funny. This is not that big a news, guys. Just wanted to cover it because we've been talking about it and we want to stay on top of it. But it is cool that Sadler is coming back to the film, so that's really neat. All right, let's go ahead and move here down to the next one. Now, we've also, this is another kind of just keeping on top of things type of article here. There's not a lot to be said, but we are following a few stories over here on Comics News today. And of course, one of those is Dune, the Dune reboot that's coming out. And of course, Josh Brolin here is sharing his first experiences from Dune. And as we know, we're talking about all the different characters coming in. Let's see real quick what he has to say. Despite reportedly landing in Jordan, that's a couple of days ago to join Dune's production. They're filming in Jordan, I guess. Josh Brolin is already showing off his battle scars. Brolin recently shared a picture on Instagram of his first experience on set with a caption from Frank Herbert's novel. What has mood to do with it? Wrote Brolin. You fight when the necessity arise, no matter the mood. Mood's a thing for cattle, or making love, or playing the balisette. It's not for fighting. And he's got himself, he's literally all bruised up. Look at that. That's cool. Yeah, no, Brolin is certainly one of those characters that throws himself into a character, and I guess they were having an action scenes, and he went and bruised himself up. But I think he does a good job. I liked him and loved him as Thanos and stuff, and he's a little teeny guy, but he can pull off a big dude really well, I think.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're gonna act, you gotta act.
Hmm.
You gotta get in there, and I know there can be some, certain action scenes and actors have, broken the occasional bone here and there,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that's just part of doing it. So do football players. That's part of their job. You get paid millions for it. Get in there and do it hard.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. And what do you think, Gary? I'm assuming you watched the Infinity Wars and maybe some of the other things Brolin has done because, like I just mentioned, one of the things that impresses me the most about the guy, not only his ability to act, is the fact that he's really a teeny human. He's very small, but he plays big so well. He really does. What do you think about Josh Brolin here, Gary?
Well, that's the first that I heard that he was a small guy
Oh, he's
because
really teeny.
I
Yeah.
just I assumed that he was big
Yeah. Right.
because everything I see him in, he seems huge.
Yeah. And actually, he's like Tom Cruise little. He's really teeny, but you don't know it. He's because he's
So
so awesome.
is he like Bilbo Baggins teeny?
He's like 5'4" or something like that. 5'5".
Wow, I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, a real little guy. But like I said, you wouldn't know it. And they use camera magic and stuff like that too. But whereas Tom Cruise, they use the same kind of things, fake shoes, boxes, all those kind of things to try to make him look bigger. It never works. Tom Cruise is always little. We know he's little, but he runs really well, and that seems to be his main talent. Uh, but Josh plays big really well, and that's a cool. It's really good for him, right? And I've seen him earlier in his career, and he was kind of so-so, but he's really come on the past decade, I'd say. Although we shall not talk about the remake of Old Boy because that was bad. But what do you think, George, about Mr. Brolin here?
I enjoyed him in The Explorers. I have followed him in everything he has done. He's very talented. I was shocked, I tell you, shocked when I found out he was short.
Yeah, it does throw you a little bit. And Tank saying 5'10" isn't short. Well, first of all, Tank, I don't know if that's what they're claiming Brolin is, but they lie. They lie a lot, dude. Especially in pro wrestling and movies. I don't know why, but they love to lie about their size. He is a super little guy. But it doesn't matter at all. That's not my point. My point is the dude plays big and powerful really, really well. So it's cool to see him in Dune. I think he's a good addition. I'm really happy. What do you guys think overall about the fact that they're rebooting Dune again? Right? We had the original. We had that TV miniseries. I think there was some other little weird thing that came out, and then here we go again. They're rebooting it again instead of telling the more extended story, because there are many books that go for thousands of years literally, but yet we're going back to the beginning again. What do you guys think about that overall? We'll start with the DeWolf.
I'm not sure I like reboots in general.
Mm,
You know, I usually want to take something that you've already made in the past, and then you can build onto it. And sometimes that's something that you can do, like right where something leads off,
mhm,
and then sometimes you say there's a gap, right? 100 years later, or 300 years later, or even prequels. I don't like messing with or changing something unless it really needs to be rebooted because something was entirely different. Like for instance, the original Star Trek.
mhm,
It was the way it was made with the original consoles, screens, and when Next Generation came around, Next Generation set a whole new standard, and it really built the universe. The original Star Trek did not build the universe. The movies did, kind of more so, and then from that, Next Generation did that built the universe. So to be able to go back and reboot possibly the original Star Treks, you could kind of do that. But in this particular sense, once again, no, because the original material stands on its own and it's timeless with the technology and how it's completely set away from Earth and the like.
mhm. Yes, you're right, Night Pope. No more reboots. That's how Chester takes credit for everything. Yep, yep. Got to watch it back. Got to watch it back. But yeah, no, you and I agree on that, of course. What do you think, George?
Um, the reboot, if if this is a standard corporate attack, doing a reboot means that they're going to try to do many movies, and that's good. I saw the original Dune, and then I saw the early 2000s Dune,
Hmm.
and they each had merit on their own, but they really failed separately. And if they're going to do it right, if they're ever going to do this one right at all, they have to follow. Was it Georgesky?
Oh, that,
The
yeah.
his layout, his plans. He has an entire book already planned out. It's a monster of a book. Has all the storyboards, has all the designs.
Hmm.
It's faithful to the project, to the intellectual property. If they get that man on board,
Hmm.
it will be absolutely spectacular.
And it would be very unique looking as well. That's a fair
Totally.
point. Yeah. What about you, Gary? What do you know much about Dune? What do you think about Dune, and more importantly, this reboot that they're doing? And they're throwing a lot of star power at this.
Well, I'm willing to watch anything that they do. I mean, even if they rebooted Star Trek, like the Wolf was saying, even with the J.J. Abrams stuff. I mean, I'm willing to watch it. Is it going to be better? Is Dune going to be better than like the original stuff that they did? Is it going to be better than the book? Probably not. But I'm willing to watch it, and I'm willing to root for them. Any movie that people are willing to do, I actually want it to be good. I'm
Yeah.
not wanting anything to be bad. Can they do it though? Maybe. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it'll surpass everything that's come before it.
Mm,
And I hope it is. You know, but am I hopeful that it is? I'm on the fence, I guess,
yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I liked the original movie Dune that they did back in the '80s. Love it. It's one of my favorite movies. Um, so, are they going to be able to beat that? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's we're up in the air. We'll see how they do. Pencil for Life is in here, and he's saying hello to everybody. He's saying hello to us as well. Well, hello, Brad. Nice to see you, dude. And I'm of course looking, hoping, hopefully it'll be good, just like everybody else. But I really would have liked to have seen them progress the story forward. That's all, because there's so much more to the story. But they just I think what George has said is probably accurate. They're looking at doing a trilogy or something like that, which that's not even enough to tell the story, but that's probably what they're looking to do. So hopefully, what they'll focus on in this movie is telling a great story and not be concentrating on setting up the next movie, because when they do that, they fail. Right, so hopefully they'll do that really well. But we'll keep watching this. This is one of the stories we've been following over here on Comics News today, and we are hoping that this will turn out really cool. We have followed a few other stories in the past, including the Captain Marvel one, and even though we're certainly not pleased with all of the kind of hatefulness that comes out of Brie Larson, it looks like at least the movie turned out to be an average Marvel movie, so that's good. We don't want to see any kind of failure in the Marvel comic book movies, because we want to have more of them, right? So it sounds like it turned out to be a at least watchable popcorn movie, so that's a good thing. And I do believe DeWolf went to see it with his family, and you guys seem to enjoy yourselves. So
We did, yeah. And one thing I tried to do, of course, was put myself outside of everything else, right, and get rid of what I knew going in, and just watch it straight from its, just the credits rolling, and from the Marvel logo filled with the Stan Lees.
mhm.
That right there was great. Set the moment, actually put me in the position of, okay, I can just watch this for what it is. And I'm going to be getting Dazzler together, and we're going to do a video, and we're going to go ahead and post that as content to my very own channel,
Sweet,
so that we can put a Dazzler review. And she really loved it.
awesome.
So that's going to be cool. And then I'm going to give my opinion on some of the other little things that I nitpicked, even as an Air Force guy that occasionally comes up on this show, as to what I saw that really threw me out of the movie for a moment.
Yeah.
More to
And
come.
and the movie seems to be made for girls anyway, so it's good to hear that a young girl like your daughter enjoyed it, because that was the target market, right?
Well, actually, the target market for the actual dialogue, and I'm not sure if they changed the dialogue
Uh-huh.
at some point and did some reshooting or whatnot, but the word that caught me was human.
Mm,
That she didn't say that she was necessarily a girl or a woman, that she was a human, because of course she was having to face off versus the Kree, and that got me. I said, okay, there you go, you did that right. This is actually for everyone, at least if they come from Earth.
yeah. No, that's good, man. We know from listening reviews and stuff, there is some subtle nonsense in it, but in general, it sounds like it's got some really fun parts, some good performances, some solid actors. So I'm happy about it. I really didn't want to see the first Marvel bomb, so I'm glad that it succeeded. And I do want to make a quick mention before I move on to the next, our last story for today, and we're going to go back and talk to George and Gary, of course. We do see that Matthew has come in and says, Chester, what's up? Just got here. What's going on? Well, dude, we're talking to Gary Shipman about his Pack and Land Omnibus. We're also talking to George about his last day here for his Joe King project over in Indiegogo. And we're talking about news. And I don't have anything up here to show us, but I'm just going to make a suggestion to you guys. Many of us have Netflix, me included, over here in Japan. Is actually one of the kind of few connections I have to the West is Netflix. And I just watched the other day the Motley Crue The Dirt rockumentary. Now, there's been a lot of rockumentaries over the years. I mean, a very famous one, of course, from the Beatles. But there's been, whether they take different characters and they portray the characters in their life, or they do a more documentary style. There's been some really good rockumentaries over time. But I have never ever seen a rockumentary even close to the level of The Dirt. Now, this is not for the light of heart. It is Motley Crue, which are one of the most insane bands in the history of ever. So understand there's a lot of adult material in there. But boy, talk about being brutally honest about yourself. And these guys were involved in making the project, right? And brutally honest about their mistakes, their screw ups, their drug addictions, just brutally honest. And I mean, you have to commend them for that. And of course, I grew up a big Motley Crue fan as well, coming out of the 80s, but I just really loved it. I cannot express how much love went into that movie. Not only in just casting the right people so they look correct, but making sure everything was very accurate in what happened and was portrayed. It's just really awesome. If you're okay with adult material, and understand, I'm not joking, it's very, very adult material. But if you're okay with that, check that out because that is a beautifully and brutally honest portrayal of the life of a bunch of insane men. And yes, I know Spinal Tap is awesome, and it is awesome. But that's that's not what I mean here. We're talking about kind of a realistic look at the history of some people that changed the world in a way. But and it also kind of sticks in my mind too, because we did just recently had a rockumentary come out that got a bunch of Oscars, and to be fair, was not a great movie, and that's Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, of course, the music is awesome, but it's Queen, right? But the movie itself really wasn't great, but it got a lot of accolades, and I'm kind of wondering if The Dirt will turn around next year and get accolades because it would deserve it far more than that movie did. But then again, there's no politics on top of it, so I'm not sure. Have any of you guys seen The Dirt yet?
Nope.
No. Yeah, yeah. Um, I am not joking at all, dude. But anyway, I just want to mention that offhand. Let's go do our last bit of story here, and then we'll come back and let's see. So I got a few of them here I could do, and I think I'm going to do this one here. Um, Now, this story here is Taskmaster will be the main villain of the Black Widow movie. Now, there's not a lot of information here at all. It's just talking about they're making a Black Widow movie, and the Taskmaster will be the main protagonist, and that's and a few other kind of useless bits of information. It's just kind of one of these stories we see from many of these online news sites that really don't tell us anything. But of course, what it does is it starts a conversation about the idea, one, of a Black Widow movie, especially with Scarlett Johansson being, getting on in age, and the fact of the Taskmaster being the main enemy. So I guess let's start with question one. What do you think about after all these years, more than a decade, of finally getting a Black Widow movie? What do you guys think about that? Is this a good idea or is it kind of too late?
Oh, George?
I think it's a great idea. Black Widow, like the Hulk, are two very specific characters that need a lot of support before they get off onto their own movies. The Hulk failed in the previous movies, the Hulk and the Incredible Hulk, because there wasn't enough there for him to latch onto.
Hmm.
It was just a very weak, empty vessel of a story. So all these years of the Hulk appearing in multiple movies, you're building up on the character, the love of the character with the audience, and they will come to a Hulk movie. Same thing with Black Widow. Um, she's the only one who's like doesn't have a superpower other than she can kick butt really well.
Hmm.
And if you notice, every fight scene that the Black Widow is in, she's holding her own against gods and technology and super beings. But you hear her panting and breathing and wheezing, trying to catch her breath just to get enough stamina to keep moving and then throw the next punch.
Hmm.
And
Oh, yeah.
and Scarlett Johansson as an actor, she portrayed the physical exhaustion as she's trying to hold her own with all these gods and monsters really well. So it makes sense for her to have a down to earth villain who is an extreme challenge. Taskmaster, if I'm correct, is able to mimic all forms of combat, and for her to battle him is a challenge in itself because she will be fighting someone who is the equivalent of all her buddies in terms of
Yeah.
combat. So
Yeah, well,
you're really upping the game here.
sure.
She's not
Well,
fighting.
he
She's not
doesn't.
fighting the Avengers. She's
He
fighting one
doesn't.
guy who is the Avengers, so to
Yeah,
speak,
but
in
he
fighting.
doesn't mimic fighting styles. He's just a master of all fighting styles.
Okay,
It's a
there you go.
little different. And you saying she's not having powers, and they haven't really. I guess they've abandoned that opportunity. But we do know that there was a kind of an alternate, or at least a hinted at storyline in Marvel that they never really elaborated upon, with the idea because we know that Black Widow was coming out of the same era that Captain America is, right? As far as comic timeline back in the 40s and stuff. But the thing with her is there was a storyline in there, a more recent one, sometime in the past 30 years, I guess, where she was actually one of the first members of the super soldier program before the Americans got the scientists and brought them over to America. So she was actually part of the Russian version of the testing. So therefore, she's not a successful version per se, but she's a little bit like Captain America. I liked that storyline a lot, and I really wish they would have stuck to that, especially in this movie with the series, because it would have been a nice little bit of reveal to find out that she is actually as old, maybe even older a little bit than Captain America. But it kind of looks like they're not doing that. Because if they did that, then it would explain her fast reflexes and things like that. But like I said, I don't think they're doing that. But what do you think, Gary? What do you think about the idea of Scarlett Johansson doing a movie now? I mean, she's 40 something, right?
I don't see a problem with it. I mean, I remember back when they were talking about doing more Star Trek movies. This was back when everybody was still alive from the original cast, and they were going to do more and more movies, and everyone was complaining about like William Shatner is getting old, and all these people are getting really old, and it wouldn't work. And I was like, I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, I think like Sean Connery, as he got older, he did great things, and even Jean-Luc Picard or whatever was older. It's like I don't have a problem with people's ages playing in a movie and it being fantastic. I think that it does. I think it'll be great if they do a good job. It could be the best Marvel movie ever. But then, are they going to be able to deliver that? That's the problem.
True.
Sometimes you hit gold, and sometimes it's just another movie.
Well, I think the problem also for Scarlett is she's a good background character, good co-star, but she can't carry a film by herself. She's kind of proven this.
What?
No, she can't, dude. Her best film she did so far was Lucy, and even that was kind of flat. She just doesn't have the X factor to pull a role by herself. Now she's got a decade of Marvel stuff behind her, and that's going to help a lot. And I think the movie will be fine, but it is a problem, I think.
You watch all of these scenes where she is carrying the scene, though. And so I have to completely disagree. They haven't given her that movie yet in that particular role, but when she takes that role on, and a lot of her roles recently have been with the Hulk. Some of those scenes have been with the Hulk. So she's interacting with CGI, which is an extremely hard thing to do. Apparently, after just watching Captain Marvel, um, Bree has a lot to learn about actually interacting with what should be there,
Yeah.
but can't pull it off. While
Did
Scarlett
you think,
Johansson,
did you think that
she does it.
Brie Larson runs funny?
She
She
definitely
runs funny
runs
without
funny.
boots on.
I thought she looked. I could
Yeah,
not see that anymore through the rest of the movie, even when she had boots on. Anyways,
yeah. It did stand out, and my wife noticed it as well, and it took away. And I was just hoping that it changed when she got the boots back on, but that needed to be worked on.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Ezra Miller runs funny too, and he's playing the Flash. You'd have
with
think they
boots.
would have checked that out first. I mean, goodness gracious. And I'm being
Yeah,
corrected here in the chat. She's in her 30s. She's not in her 40s. Thank you very much, chat. Yeah, she just looks a lot
it's
older to me.
it is definitely time for her to
It
have
is.
a movie of her own. And one of those reasons is the fan base, right? As soon as you see her, you just understand, wow. There's the looking at her, wow. And then there's how she acts. When she and Happy walk into the hallway, and she takes out 6 guys and he takes out 1.
Mhm.
Um, Part of that may be stunt double, but there's a lot yet you can tell that she does by
Yeah.
herself, and she's
Well,
she's there facing off against, as an actress, by the way, as an actress, she's facing off against Steve Rogers, Robert Downey Jr., which of course I realize that's an actor, not a character, Thor, and all these guys. Thor, of course, here he is. He's built up in this huge costume, and standing there as well. Um, and now RDJ, I'm not sure exactly what they do to him to make him Tony Stark on set. How much that is pieces of armor, and how much of that is a CGI. But there she stands, and she's just in her suit. She's not. She doesn't have anything else going on. She doesn't have a cape or anything else. But she commands presence when you
she
see her
does.
in the lineup, like for Civil War. And so, I think that moment where you see her right next to Hawkeye, and they're talking about the time in Budapest. I always wanted to know what happened in Budapest. Give
Oh,
me a
we're gonna
flashback.
find out, I'm sure.
That Give me a flashback back to Budapest, and that would be cool to see. And this Taskmaster guy, then you throw him in the works. So he does actually able to mimic. He can actually watch someone and actually figure out their moves and then replicate them as well. So with that, you've got Scarlett Johansson, who is or Black Widow, who is most of her power is just her fighting style, and he can mimic that. And then so she's got to up her game or do something different. I think for someone who relies strictly on fighting style for most of everything that she's able to do to take out opponents,
Mhm.
it would be a very interesting movie to be watching
Well, I think they should have done it 5
and
years
ramp
ago.
up. I mean,
I mean, they should have done it 5 years ago,
yeah, most definitely.
honestly. I don't know why they didn't, to be honest. Really don't understand why they didn't. But anyway, it's coming now, so that's a good thing. And I think it'll be
Yeah,
fine. I'm looking
and her
forward to it.
vulnerability,
Yeah, no,
her
they
the
developed the character
vulnerability
really
she
well.
shows
Yeah.
when she's in the chair and she's interrogating the Russians as they interrogate her, so to speak.
Hmm.
She looks vulnerable, and I think to just her ability to act, and I think basically opposing what you said, being able to control a whole movie from beginning to end with the highs and lows that's responsible for it. I think she's going to do a wonderful job.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering who if they're going to really do a solo movie with her, which would be cool, or are they gonna give her a crutch and throw one of these characters in kind of on the side with her as kind of like a buddy cop
They, they're gonna
type of
have
thing,
to.
you know?
They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to throw in some character, maybe Captain America, or maybe Bucky, or maybe Samuel L. Jackson, if Nick
or
Fury.
maybe or maybe Goose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe Goose. Yeah.
I would say I'd say the best way to do it is have him sort of do a cameo, kind of like the way Iron Man does with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Someone that helps her out at some point, but that she has to then continue on her own. Even Ant-Man, I think, is sort of done that way.
but I have to give you a prediction. All this speculation regarding the Black Widow movie will just go out the door if those two brothers end up making that movie. What's their
Which
name again?
which
The
brothers you
Russo
talk
brothers.
about?
The guys who did Civil War
Kendrick
and
Kendrick brother.
Civil War.
So why do you say this, George?
Yeah, why,
What I
George?
forgot. Those Civil War.
I can't think of their names either,
I
but it's
can't.
okay.
Is
Why do you say that?
it's not
Because Black Widow is set in the world of espionage and stuff like that, and it did great with Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
Civil War, Endgame. Those brothers are just amazing.
So you're saying you want them?
Yeah,
Okay, because
yeah.
you started out as if you didn't want them. Did you want to add something to that, Gary?
the Russo brothers.
Russo
The
brothers. There you
Russo
go.
brothers.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, yeah. No, they've done a wonderful job, and they should have listened to them about Captain Marvel as well. But I think the second part of this conversation though is, and I'm just going to jump right back over to the actually, I'll leave it here for now. But I think the second part of the conversation is more interesting to me, um, uh, because Taskmaster being the main villain, I think, is very problematic because she can't handle him. As far as from a comic book point of view, she cannot handle that, right? Very few people can. He is absolute monster when it comes to, combat and stuff. So what it means is they're going to have to depower Taskmaster in the movie so that she can beat him. And that's unfortunate because it takes one of the really cool villains we have in Marvel and is it cutting his, cutting it off at the knees, so for me, I really wish they didn't choose Taskmaster. I wish it was just simply she's going to deal with some kind of spy thing, and she's dealing with some kind of just James Bond it, right? But throwing the
Well,
Taskmaster in there, I think is unfortunate.
what if you're right and she can't handle him, but she then goes into espionage mode in order to have to find him, discover what he's doing, where he's hiding out or whatever, what's his agenda. And then after that point, then she brings in another heavy hitter to help her actually take
Yeah,
him out.
but people would get very upset if they did that, though, right? She had to bring in someone to help her.
No,
Oh my goodness, the screaming would
because it's
never
the
end.
MCU.
But
It's the
I think
MCU.
sorry, I think Chester, you just answered your own concern.
Uh-huh.
What is a hero if the challenge is not insurmountable? So if she can't handle Taskmaster, that's an even greater challenge for a hero to overcome.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying what you and I both know, George, what they're going to do in the end is take the teeth out of Taskmaster, as we've seen them do several times already, right? I mean, look what they did to Doctor Strange. I mean, I love the movie, but they turned him into some kind of weird martial art magic puncher. I mean, what? I mean, Doctor Strange can literally handle all that, and they depowered him to epic levels, right? That's what they
Yeah,
do. And because Taskmaster, there's very few people in the comics that can actually handle Taskmaster. I mean, Captain America can't really handle Taskmaster, really. And he's serious level, right? And when it comes to that level, there's the non-powered type of combat. The Taskmaster is in the comics. He's probably the most efficient fighter. I mean, he's in league with Shang-Chi and maybe Iron Fist as far as his tactical combat abilities. And
yeah, yeah.
it's and I just because I love Taskmaster. I think he's a really cool villain. And I just know that from a comic book point of view, Black Widow is nowhere near his league. But then again, she's not really doesn't belong in the Avengers either, and they've done that anyway. So I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. And the chat is frustrated with me. They think I'm being too picky. Sorry, chat. Anyway, let's move on past this. Let me come back over here and let's go back over and take a look at Packens Land, and then of course we'll take a look at the George's thing as well. Now, keep in mind, guys, that the omnibus here from Gary is up and available. He's already got 3,500 in, and he needs to get 10,000 to get that giant book published. So definitely go over and support that, please. Would you like to add anything to that, Gary?
Pretty please.
Okay.
No, yeah, anything that you guys can do to help, even getting the word out, that helps greatly. Share it on social media, even talk to your neighbors. Go next door, knock on the door, let them know.
Yeah.
Anything you guys can do to help, I greatly appreciate it. And you guys are the ones that make this a success. It's a group effort. I do my part over here, and you guys enjoy it, hopefully. So yeah.
All right. And if we could have one of our moderators throw the link in for not only Gary's Peckins Land Omnibus, but also for his channel, and also throw in for George's Joe King, which I'm about to show right now. All right. And George, your project here is, I think you're already funded, right?
Yes,
You are.
I'm already funded. It's praise the Lord. There are people there who are interested, and it's really exciting that in the next several months, I'll be in the form of producing a physical book, going back to physical print after 20 years of being digital. And well, actually, not really 20 years, more like 15. I did an entire run of print books in the mid 2000s, flip books for brain injury awareness. But
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you did.
but it was a flip book. It wasn't 100% George book.
Tank Ferret, I just made you a moderator. If you could do me a favor, please, and throw up the links to Gary's Peckins Land, George's Joking, as well as Gary's channel. If you could throw those up for me, please.
I
Um,
made
uh,
I made something interesting about the update to the campaign. If you scroll down slowly,
okay.
you'll see that I did little icons of the covers, the alternative covers, and
Oh,
I
right here. These right here.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah and I made sure that everybody's aware that the alternative covers are only available during the campaign. And then when the book goes into in demand, it
Hmm.
will be the standard cover that will be only available.
I see. But
Just
then
so
I question the all covers, really completely, dude. Lady Alchemy, cool, but Nasser and Cecil, really?
oh come on, look at it! It's a great gag.
Goodness
Double-headed
gracious.
Cecil. Oh, no, sorry, no, double-headed Nasser. Menacing the characters, and then Cecil making a duplicate of Joe. Oh come on, that's comedy there. It's gold.
That's gold.
It's gold, man.
And there are
It is.
people that want these guys, because it's they're celebrities amongst the CGs,
Well, if you really look at it and you compare the Comicsgate personalities,
Hmm.
Nasser has capitalized on the kick Nasser
He has. Yes, he
scenario,
has.
and Cecil has capitalized on the drunk comedian, and they're both characters in themselves. And I try to channel uh, a strong characteristic, just like a cartoon,
Hmm.
into these two gentlemen, into the illustrations. And I thought, what better way to have a masked wrestler being a scientist?
Goodness gracious. I don't know. I don't know if you heard me, Tank, but I did make you a moderator. If you could throw these links up, please, dude. And yeah, okay, George, fine.
And if you go a little further down, you'll see a good image of the trading cards that will be available. 16 trading cards.
All right, yeah,
Um,
here, these right here.
the
Yeah,
the 16th is an actual original illustration.
sweet. All right, cool. And of course, the last one we want to talk about is, of course,
Tales from Beyond the Gates.
Tales from Beyond the Gate. And this project right here is, as we talked about before, we got a lot of people involved in this. There's a lot of artists, and we have some pros as well that are helping us out. Of course, I'm writing as well as the Wolf, and this is a really cool project. This is over 160 plus pages for $30. It's a really good deal, and of course, you're also supporting us in trying to bring about a new artist into play, new creators into play, because we do want to build up this indie revival is going on, and there are some really amazing artists and some capable writers that are really unknown to the community at large, and we want to give them some opportunities to be seen and have the ability to have their art come forward and their writing come forward because we want more of it, right? So please definitely back this as well. This project still has time left, of course, but we'd love to be safe and secure in understanding that it's at least funded. But as you can see, some of the art here, there's just amazing stuff going on. But and this, of course, is a new little addition we threw up here. I'm working with Pedro on Yarona, and it's really interesting. Originally, of the different because I submitted a story and then ended up writing stories for some of the other guys' ideas, and this is one of the ones I did for John initially, but John passed it on to Pedro because he's so busy with other stuff, and I'm really happy he did because for several reasons. One, I it took me quite a while to figure out how to tell the Yorona story in a different way. right? Because Llorona is a story that's from Mexico and here in America, in the Americas, Latin America, and it's well known inside those cultures. And of course, we've seen many, 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 many renditions of Llorona over the years. It's probably the most famous Latino ghost story there is, right? And the simple fact of having to attack that and find another way of telling it, and at the same time, honoring the memory of Llorona was daunting. But in the end, I think I came up with a really good way of doing it, and it was cool switching over to Pedro because Pedro here is from, as you can see, he's an amazing artist. But Pedro is from Costa Rica, and of course they have their own very own little touches on Llorona that are different than, say, Mexico or Peru or Bolivia or Brazil or what have you. And so having someone who grew up with the stories of Llorona and his family and friends around him, and then him and his family reading my story and saying, "Hey, I really like what you did with it. I like the twist and how you brought it in, but still honored it." That was so validating to me, but it also helped me understand that I had found that right niche to tell this story. It was really, really fortuitous, I'd say, that Pedro came on the project. And then, of course, the other thing I love about Pedro here is not only is an amazing artist, as you can see, he's extremely professional. We communicate nearly every day, going over every piece of it, the layouts and interaction, and it's just been a wonderful experience dealing with Pedro. So I'm really happy he's come on board to take care of this story, and it's been a lot of fun for me as well. But nevertheless, Tales from Beyond the Gate, it's got a lot of cool stories like that going on. There's a lot of people working on here. DeWolf, why don't you tell a little bit about your experience with working with Eric Weathers? I mean, goodness gracious, look at this art.
Oh my, yeah, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Going into this, you write the story, and I was introduced to Eric by Todd Mulrooney, and we were just sort of set up the idea, and I said to him, I have a story idea. We can do some horror. It'll basically show what this demonic entity is that stretches out through time, that's affecting various things behind Templars. And of course, the Templars, as we know, are both not only medieval, but then throughout history, they've had various stories told about them all the way up to modern times. There's some things that talked about them in secret societies. So I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to do medieval, or do you want to do something more modern, and to put these things together, or maybe even like the colonial time frame? We could do something there where in the founding of America, and which I thought actually sounded cool at the moment. And he said, I want to do something medieval.
Mm.
And there we were set into motion to do this Battle of Hattin that I had decided to take on. And it has been really great working with Eric on this. He took the script to begin with, and when you artist, he's been doing this for a while, he's gonna be able to find a little bit of basically like editing. What is a good break between one scene and another scene for a page. And so that worked out really well. I was able to go ahead and rewrite the script a little bit for kind of a better storytelling experience from page to page. Little did I know that what Eric Weathers does, and you can tell it just on this particular page right here, he makes a story out of one page. You get a story per page as it builds into the broader story, in his use of space and the use of characters. Even right here, you can understand that these demons are after something from one panel, and they're then there's this writer, and then boom, they're behind him. And I find that phenomenal. Not a lot of artists, I think, have this particular style and are able to do this with the characters.
Sequential
So yeah,
skill.
Eric is he's become one of my favorite people to work with in this particular realm that we're in.
And the cool thing with Eric too is most everybody knows Eric because he's a letterer. I mean, he's literally lettered almost every book we could think of in the indie revival. I mean, I lost count, right? But
Right?
actually,
Yeah, yeah.
he's a killer artist as well. So
He is. And there was something that happened because I have something that I want these demons to be able to do in their influence on the characters, their influence throughout history. So I came up with this idea, and the other artists said that's not normally done. A piece of a comic book page isn't made that way in order to have that happen. And Eric, though, being both the artist and the letterer, because it has something to do with the lettering, and I don't want to spoil it when you get to it. Um, he said, you know what, I'll work with that, and we'll see if I'll do my best to try to recreate the image that you're wanting to look for. So I look forward to seeing it, and I look forward to seeing
Yeah.
hearing from everyone else on what he finally comes up with
Sure.
for that.
Yeah, and it is really cool what they ended up doing with the lettering, actually, which I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but it is really cool. But there we have many stories like this in this ongoing process. We've been working at this for months. This is not something we're just throwing a couple pictures and like, oh, we'll get to it. No, this project is well underway. There's a lot of work already done. Like here you have Kevin Stewart is working on Salvage story. I'm working with him, and boy, just some beautiful pieces he's got going on. We have Muttman come over and doing his Anastasia. This is of course, is from Mike Barron. And Todd Maroney is working on this, and of course, he's also working on Florida Man with Mike Barron right now, and as well as the Graveyard Shift 2. It's a beautiful panels we have here. This is from Manny over at Good Dog Press. He's got an interesting little story. And of course, we have something come from Pixel Trader himself. And we have seen some of the art panels he's doing. It's really cool. It's cute, actually, in a way. It's a kind of a cute horror. But there's a lot of these kind of projects going on over here. And there's each one of them has their own little story, and we're having a lot of fun. And we hope you guys go over and support this and let us bring this to all of you. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all very much. And I guess does anybody have anything they want to add before we jump out of here?
I'd say thank you guys for having me on, and thank you all for taking a look at the Packens Line Omnibus and just sharing it out. Thanks so much.
Awesome. George?
Actually, it was wonderful talking to you, Gary, and Chester, and everybody else. No, I've been a admirer of your work for a very long time, Gary, and it's wonderful to actually talk to you in digital person. It's wonderful, very much.
Yeah, it was good to talk to you too. Good to meet you.
And Chester, thank you for including me again in this wonderful streaming. And I don't know what to say. It's a wonderful place to be. You learn and you grow.
Yeah, and we're having a lot of fun. And we learned that the chat is mean, and super mean, especially to the host. Where's all the love, guys? Gotta have love for me. The bear needs love, needs belly rubs.
You gave your meanies in the chats wrenches.
I did, yeah. But no, it's all in good fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. We had a great time. Keep in mind that this is not a fan speak thing, but sitting here in about 30 minutes or so over on John Dillard's show, we're going to be continuing with the D&D game that's going on that I am DMing, and we're having a lot of fun with that. And it's kind of showing off some of the monsters and creatures that are in Tales from Beyond the Gate. It's a little bit of a interesting take on a D&D game. We're actually kind of fighting the things that are in Tales from Beyond the Gate. That's fun. Do keep in mind that tomorrow on Bugbear's Basement, we're actually doing another game. We are doing introducing Marvel Superheroes role-playing game. A great game came out from TSR from the 80s, 70s and 80s, and we're going to be doing a superhero game tomorrow. So come over and check that out on Bugbear's Basement. And of course, we have many things throughout the week with our comics news today, as well as our fan speak, and of course our Money Vision movie night, which this week we're going to be we're going to watch Blade, right? Yeah, we're going to watch Blade, which will be fun. And of course, we have our TFT, which will be talking about Antarctica. Ooh, very interesting. All right, guys, thank you very much. And Gary, you're new here on this particular one without Denali. So, Gary, every day, Denali gives some kind of words of wisdom. So, it's your turn.
Wow. Okay, on the spot. Um, well, I would just say words of wisdom would be treat people the way that you would like to be treated, not the way that people maybe treat you. And if everybody was to do that, I think the world would be a better place.
That's true. Namaste. All right. Well, thank you
Anytime.
guys very much. Later.
Okay.